This used to be my favorite type of video to make back in the day before all the Mythic Plus stuff we used to do. We used to just go to like interesting WoW discussions and just read comments and react to them. If somehow you haven't seen this video yet, this is one that has caught fire. It has a lot of comments and a lot of discussion. 853 comments across 26K views is a high amount. And there are some crazy comments on here, and you would be expecting a lot of them to be sympathetic to the situation, and you certainly see probably like 75% of them are that, but we're going to react to some of the not sympathetic, like the ones that are outliers on this video. It could be its own video, just understanding the psychology of the people trying to actually like defend this or just like say something contrary to the point. This is a topic that gets brought up a ton over the years. Like I make these videos where people are bad actors, and there's always one guy is like, well, actually, this guy didn't perform his DPS rotation perfectly to the pixel, so I would leave too. But this one is just like, if you can't defend this, like trying to defend that kind of action right there, like you're just a scumbag, man. Like there's no two ways around it. So let's read some funny comments. So this is an interesting one here. This is a long time viewer of our channel, a frequent contributor in the comment section. So I trust him like very heavily on this topic. He says Baza Mage, that's the guy who's playing the priest in the key, is not only toxic, but he's actually a bad player. And I personally have seen him troll 18 to 19 keys. So we hope for a ban there with the smiley face. Interesting to hear that like other players who are doing high-end content are actually running into these guys and they don't necessarily have anything good to say about them. Now, this is where it gets interesting. There's going to be a lot of comments like this on this video where some dude comes out of nowhere and just starts like countering the points about these people. Whenever I see this, I immediately assume that it's like an inside agent, somebody who is acting without objectivity on the situation. Like somebody's friend of theirs, basically. He says, that's a lie. Barry is quite the nice guy. So I said, you're saying the guy who intentionally is gripping people into their death and lying about it is quite the nice guy. And he says, he is quite a nice guy, as I know him very well. And sadly, I don't judge people's hearts on what they do in a game. Well, that's the truest place to judge them, because if people abuse others when they know there's no repercussions, then you know that they deep down are not a very good person. They're basically just totally full force exerting their dominance over others, and then to the point where they like fail to get what they want out of it, like that situation where they force the boss to reset because the guy won't take the res and keep getting grief. They like lash out, right? To say I don't judge people's heart on what they do in a game, that's really short-sighted, and frankly, I can't imagine that's not biased. Just because someone is trolling in low keys doesn't mean they're a bad person IRL. We just covered that. Not gonna lie, he's a super chill guy and a really good player. Well, I don't think he's very chill, right? Like one way or the other, you wouldn't be doing this if you were actually chill, but I get what your point is. You like the guy. So this goes on for a while now because like these guys realize that they are getting like a bit of a platform here, and the guy says, but you don't know him IRL and we do. So how has the leverage here on this topic? I guess he means to say who has the leverage. Are you so thick that you can't even understand that? I love the guys who put the space in between. You can always tell like somebody who's not, like I think it's like a European thing. I have no idea why this is so common. He said, I could make sense though looking at that cave you sit in. Have you seen sunlight since the 80s? Yeah, within 1 day real time. I mean, I don't know exactly how many hours this is, but this guy's basically trying to say, I don't judge people's heart based on what they do on the internet. And then he says this shit. Then he insults my room. Like, oh, okay, you really took the moral high ground there, didn't you? I'd say that most people wouldn't do shit IRL. They're either some fatso or some scrawny kid who's all talk behind a screen munching on their hot Cheetos. Like, I mean, this guy literally agrees with me, but he's not intelligent enough to understand what I said and what he said are the exact same thing. Most people wouldn't do shit IRL. Right, exactly, because there's repercussions. So you literally agree with me. Anyway, then like a non-person from this group starts getting involved and they say, actions speak louder than words. In a game, your actions are what define you, and intentionally joining a key to troll the other players is as despicable as it comes. Stating that he's quite the nice guy with all the evidence to the contrary speaks volumes not only on the player, but those trying to defend it. Totally agree. I think that being a really good player is seen as in your in-game abilities and how you treat others. Trolling and anonymity is usually a good indicator of some real-life issues. Yes, totally agree. I think like everybody agrees with this, to be honest. Look at the reply. Like, what are you talking about? Seeing how serious you take gameplay, I bet you don't have a job or even a life. Like, how did we get to that topic? You think I don't have to defend myself or any arguments to inbreeds? That's not how you would say that word. That is too scared. You would put two O's. Scared to admit that they fail at life. I love this this comment section. It is our daily Discord hour of laugh. It's like watching animals in the zoo trying to defend why their game is better than the jungle. Oh, I mean cage. I don't like what this is meant to be like an ironic spin on the English language. I don't really understand that. Like, why would you use that as like a way to end your statement? I tried to leave comments saying that I would give these guys a shot to like get in Discord and, you know, do the painbow method basically. They just are dead silent, like freaking radio silence. Not a single person replied to this. They just keep doing this, like attacking other people while you're trying to say like, oh, he's not a bad person. This was the best one. You understand that trying to say he's a good guy means absolutely nothing when it's coming from someone who is actively also being toxic, right? Yeah, like look at these comments, dude. How can anybody take this serious? You used inbreeds as an insult in a YouTube comment section reply, bro. Like, you've lost the argument. Dude defends other toxic players by being toxic. You're ridiculous. You know you're defending your buddy, but you just seem like as much of a dummy as he is. There's no way a person who acts like this is nice, even if he doesn't realize he's being toxic to someone. He simply is, and is therefore not a good person. So I said, like, you know, before, like, it's this is the only person who is saying anything nice about this guy at this point. So I said, it's like, it's you against the world at this point. He says, more like the Karen and Kevin of the Bat Caves. You both should most likely shower, shave, and get a job and a life. Guessing most of the views is Kevin and Karen going on repeat. Oh wait, he doesn't know anything about YouTube if he thinks that's possible. Then like Icy Wax is back. He's not related. Like they were not attacking him at all from what I could tell, but he's back. I have both a job and a life, and I am a good player that does high keys. I treat people the same IRL as I do in game, both while doing high keys on my main and low keys on my alts. I would always try to time a low key even if some of my teams are not good, and would never intentionally troll them in any way. Are you trying to say that someone is a very nice guy IRL but just casually comes home and acts like a total jerk for no apparent reason? Because that's not how people work. You're either a nice guy or a piece of shit in every aspect of life. That's crazy. Just because you think you're a good player and a nice guy does not mean you are. Probably not even 3.6K Raider IO, so you dog shit in both aspects of life. Wow, these are some crazy comments. These are new. Like, I did not read some of these. I don't know anyone nice who randomly trolls and shit talks in order to grief and brick progress. It's supposed to be funny and not negative, but hey, you're probably his alt. Brick progress in a night. This is only 17 hours ago this guy replied. You thick? It's like, what do you think? People aren't making progress in nines? I don't understand. Like, this dude basically is just making himself look worse and worse. So let's just move on at this point. This one I do want to take a minute to address because it seems to get like a lot of people riled up, and I get it. I didn't really like give very good thoughts. I basically just said like 5 words and everybody took them for gospel. This guy says, not all people that sign up as duos or more are bad. Me and my friends sign up to other keys and always try our best and help as much as possible. We rarely deplete keys. We very often have super wholesome interactions with others and continue for a few keys before parting ways. Saying as the moral of the story is to never invite duos, as if it's going to fix anything is just wrong, especially if you're in a position to influence others. And first of all, I do not respect you guys saying like, just because I'm in a position to influence others, I need to agree with your opinion. I said this in maybe not this comment, I don't remember where I said it, but like a lot of comments like this. It's very demeaning for you to say like, you didn't give the right thought in a video, especially when I have like 2,000 published videos on this channel. And I've been doing this type of content, like commentary on Mythic plus pugging, for like 6+ years now. Do not presume to tell me what I am and am not allowed to have an opinion on. That is the most rude thing you can possibly do, and I will have zero respect for you, first of all, because that presumes that I have not thought this through. And when you realize like the abundance of evidence that I have just on this channel from other people submitting me videos of this type of situation, that should be all you need to know. This guy is basically saying that not all people who sign up as duos or more are bad, and that's like equally insulting, because if you think I actually don't know that, like, what are you saying about me? Do you really think I believe that 100% of people who sign up as more than one person are like the guys in this video? Like, obviously I don't think that. Way I think about it though is that the behavior in this key, and it's truly an outlier, but like I said, I have many videos on this topic. Like every single week there's a video like this submitted to me where there's 2 guys who are just basically non-competitive. They're either trolling or they're bad, or they're one guy's carrying another guy. This happens so frequently you have no idea, and we don't publish them all because most of them would just be the same thing I'm talking about right now. Pop basically had this exact same same situation just a couple months ago, and we went through this all nonsense again with these guys coming in and defending themselves. And the way I look at it is this situation can only happen with a duo or a trio or something like that. For everything else, the players would be equal. Like the likelihood of them sucking or whatever else as a duo doesn't change. So whether you invite 2 singles or 2 in a duo, they have that same likelihood of being good. On top of that potential failure, like equally, you also have a non-zero percentage that they are selfish and that they only care about each other. This cannot happen when you invite 5 people who don't know each other. So yes, inviting a duo is just always bad in my eyes, and I would again double down on this and encourage everybody out there who is pugging, especially those with anxiety about the people they are inviting to their keys, to never invite a duo. I don't care if you or someone you know is not a scumbag. That is not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because there is a non-zero chance on top of every other thing that the deck is already stacked against in Mythic Plus pugging. There is a non-zero chance that those guys will prioritize their own relationship and be scumbags in some way, or just simply one of them is carrying another, or some behavior that you would not have if you just invite 5 random people who don't know each other. It is far safer socially to invite 5 random people, have people who do not know each other, than it is to invite a small sect of players, because that click comes preloaded. They walk in with that bias. There's a guy saying like, you are hurting the community making comments you made in this video. I can see why you're saying that, all right? It's because I did not make a very clear and concise point. I just basically said something that I've said 100,000 times over the last few years, and just assumed everybody who is going to hear me say it has also heard me say these things over the years. This is a problem I have on the internet. I know that there's always new people. I have trouble wanting to give this long-winded response to the same topic over and over and over again. So I apologize for that. But please do not presume to think that I am uneducated on this topic and I am not allowed to have an opinion on something that I have a very strong opinion on. That is incredibly rude. All right, now we're on to the fun ones, because I actually looked at these on the YouTube live stream and it is crazy, dude. Like, I don't know where these comments have come from, but for some reason there's a bunch of like PvP guys who come onto this video. He says, you miss a kick in PvP, you lose the game. I mean, that's just stupid, objectively incorrect, right? Like, what are we talking about? You're gonna cast probably like what, 100 spells in an arena match? But I can promise you that unless this guy's AFK, you're not kicking every single one of his casts. That's just really stupid as like a starting argument. Just like in Mythic Plus, right? Like, not every single cast in Mythic Plus needs to be kicked. I have no idea what this guy's even referring to. I assume he's talking about where I brought it up that they didn't kick the fear, but like that causes absolutely no issues. He says people are allowed to just sit there with an entire group of people and simply not interrupt in Mythic Plus, which is like at no point happens. He says, laugh Maffeo, this is what PvE is like in WoW. And that comment alone like makes me scratch my head, because that basically says that this guy who plays PvP enough to get this heated over this topic of comparison here doesn't even know what PvE is like in WoW. For him to say that, it tells you that he's never tried it. That's embarrassing, man. If you're playing this game and you simply only play it for PvP and then come here and act like this when PvE is like clearly the dominant force. So I said, where are you guys coming from? This is the equivalent of 1500 rating. How can you be so clueless? Okay, now this gets worse. He says Mythic 9 is still hundreds of hours of game time and experience compared to a brand new player. Like, okay, he's gonna end up not knowing about the Mythic Plus changes in season 4. So he's actually talking about an old Mythic Plus 9, something that's now considered a Mythic 0. He's basically saying would be hundreds of hours of game time. Then he says they have 5 seconds to stare at the screen. It's a lot shorter than that. At no point is there a 5-second cast. It's just mind-blowing to me that the skill lenience is that high. And it doesn't even make sense. Like, what are you talking? What skill lenience? These spells are fodder spells, just like in PvP. You're gonna kick the guy casting Lightning Bolt as a Resto Shaman? Like, that's not why you kick, right? He says a more punishing and challenging experience increases satisfaction for players and prevents situations like this from even occurring. It's evident that Blizzard recognizes this, since they are making the regular Mythic 0 equivalent to the current Mythic 10 in the War Within. And that's just like, it's like a facepalm moment. It's like, so you're going to say all this, and now especially that we know he was talking about an old Mythic 9, you're going to say all this and you actually know this little about what's changed in the last few months. It's like, oh no, man, that's just really, you should just not make these comments. I mean, I really don't know why people do this. But then he goes off the deep end. He says, the world is a difficult place and being sensitive to behavior on the internet is just sad. Nothing horrible happened in this video. The entire video is a regular day on the internet back in the early 2000s. Not a fan of creating a world and environment where everything is easy for for everyone. Toxicity on an online game hurts people's feelings, etc. Anyone who is genuinely harmed by behavior over an online game is so screwed for having to make it in the real world. Make the game harder, lift the social contract, return things to their hardened and dopamine generating state. I don't think you understand how dopamine works. Actually winning and getting to the top of any ladder will be so much more satisfying. He's talking about getting to the top of a ladder in a video about a Mythic +9, by the way. Anyway, I actually kind of generally agree with the guy, but the way he comes off so unhinged, it's like impossible to say anything nice about the argument. This has nothing to do with this key. Like, it couldn't be less related. I don't know what this dude's on about, but man, these PvPers, man, they are wild, dude. They are coming off with crazy topics. Now, this one was ultimately what made me want to make the video because I saw this comment and I have to make a plea now. I'm going to read this comment first. I invited this guy and 2 of his friends. First of all, you invited a trio. Oh my God. To my 9 today because I remembered his name from somewhere. Sad to realize after the key started, he was from this video. And guess what? He and his other 2 DPS pre-made pull everything as the first pull in Ultimate and we wiped, of course. That's fine, but guess what? They pulled everything again and we wiped once again. To top it off, one of the DPS then leaves, which in turn makes the whole party disband. I'm so done with these elitists. I need to get back to single player games. Yeah, I don't blame you. Now, this comment is a little bit unrefined because I can't prove that these things happen. And this is why I encourage people to record their keys. I said, geez, really wish you recorded that one. Would have been a great follow-up. We would just be making a video on that key if that was the case. But let's just assume that he's being truthful, which is not guaranteed. I do, unfortunately, like when I say like you should record your keys, it's not just because I want to see them. It's also because I want you to prove your statements. A lot of people make these claims like, oh, look at how bad things are, but then they don't have any proof of what they're saying. Like, anybody could say like these guys are the reason they wiped, but reality is like if 3 high eye level players do a large pull in a 9, they're probably not going to wipe to it. But let's just suspend that reality and just, you know, assume that what this guy is saying is true, especially based on how they act in the previous video. It's not that surprising. But anyway, yeah, can you actually imagine like 3.6k players doing a 9 even on alts and wiping? Like, it's kind of embarrassing. So if that is actually true, we definitely needed a video on this. This one's funny too. As I'm scrolling through these, I forgot about this comment. He said, I can understand griefing in PvP. My favorite was kiting Twilight Corruptor into Stormwind and Wrath, but PvE griefing your own faction? Oh God, this guy's way out of the loop. I said, this has nothing to do with faction. That's a wild thing to hear in 2024. He says, I haven't played WoW after Kata, so maybe what I'm saying doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah, no, you're way out of date. Guy says, everyone's making this out to be such a big thing. People need to go sniff the grass outside. I think it's funny as fuck. Looking at your boy, Dilly Willy, I guess he is a massive troll himself, trolling the DPS meters. Another hot topic that gets brought up all the time. I'm gonna go on the record here right now and tell you that being bad at a video game is not trolling. I'm sorry to inform you of this. Just because you think the person is not adequately capable of doing the content does not mean they are intentionally trying to mess with you or grief you or impact you in some way. That is not what that word means. So I guess it's just been misused so many times, just kind of like toxic, to be honest. Like the words get misused so often because there's a lot of people like this who like barely understand the English language, so they just throw out buzzwords. But yeah, the guy says that I basically said like this is a gigantic thing and there's no way that like the DPS meter is relevant in a 9. I said that 9 is an embarrassing position to be bringing up a DPS meter. The guy says the most absurd behavior is listing for this key with this dog shit DPS. Well, that's an unfortunate position to take because he's actually got multiple keys where he's succeeded at this level. And I think this is the problem at its heart. Like you somehow think you know better than Blizzard because you're somehow doing more damage than the other player. You think you are better than him and you should exert dominance over him. Just because somebody else is playing poorly doesn't mean anything. If the key is successful, it's a group-based content. You are not supposed to be comparing yourself to others and then acting on that in the middle of a group-based content. That is embarrassing. Could you imagine if after all these losses the Yankees are piling up, Aaron Judge goes on camera is like, yeah, Verdugo, he better start getting some hits, man. He's pretty garbage. He's trolling the team right now. The guy says people generally pay for boosts and keys, you know. I said boosted by the people intentionally making the dungeon not a double upgrade. Do you know people who would pay for that? Like, how could you say that? I didn't really look at it this way, but yeah, he said the way they pulled trash on the bosses speaks volume. It looks like they tried to wipe the group on many occasions, so it's definitely messed up with them. You don't even pull that group usually, and I would agree with that typically, but like the guy does have the right count. Like they're slightly over, but I think that's because somebody body pulls something. Well, yeah, the guy body pull. I forgot about it. He like just randomly walks into trash. I do think that they were doing it like legitimately, and I do think that other comment we read about them pulling like way over aggressive is just them kind of flexing on low keys. But I could also see it this way, like if you were a low key player and you saw somebody doing this, would you think that they're doing it to mess with the group? You'd think they're taking it serious at that point? Yeah, maybe not. Here's another all-timer, dude. This is, look at this block of text, dude. Look at this comment. To set some grounds here, I am a top 3 realm-wide multiple seasons healer and Keystone Master, Keystone Hero, all portals crap. First of all, if you're going to brag about being the top on your realm and talk about all portals, like, just be aware that I'm like now assuming you have no idea what you're talking about. You would talk about title, right? Like the full lot and a similar tank on multiple classes. I have with tons of period. I mean, you guys know me. I'd hate the dots, man. Stop with the dots. Just use regular punctuation. I have 2 things to say. This was not toxicity. The blood decay was boosting for free, and his buddy just had fun with 2 ends, and the not so skilled rest of the people started QQing. That's not even remotely what happened. That could not be a worse mischaracterization of what actually happens in this video. He says, and second, welcome to pugs, brah. If you walk on the street and ask people for money, will they be nice to you and give you some? I mean, actually, a good amount probably would. Some will. He says a small percent. Probably not that small, to be honest. The majority will not. It depends on the ability that you have to charm people, right? Anyway, the majority will not. Same in a pug. Again, this is not related anyway, but some high-end people will show up and will carry you, but down the road, they will troll a bit, or simply go AFK to take a break, or me as a druid main, push already tagged mobs with Cyclone into other mobs to pull more, run around in Bomby from topping the DPS meter and stuff like that. Okay, we gotta stop there. Like, hold on, we gotta go back. This guy says some high-end people will show up and they will carry you, but inevitably they will troll you. It's like, what? Well, who does that? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sociopaths, welcome to the video. Or simply go AFK to take a break. Who needs a break in a 9? Like, what are you taking a break for? As a druid main, push already tagged mobs with Cyclone. That's not the name of the spell that pushes the mobs. What are you typing? Into other mobs to pull more. So you're basically admitting to griefing the group? Like, what happens if you wipe to that, dude? Are you gonna take ownership for that? Then he says, run around in, I guess, bombkin form, topping the DPS meter. As a resto druid, you're topping the DPS meter? What key levels are you doing? We know we will double upgrade the key. Not if you use the wrong spell to knock mobs back into other mobs and you wipe. You're gonna fail to upgrade the key at all. He says, you want +3 smooth runs? Pay me 10k. Is that really all it costs? 10k? That's very little gold, isn't it? The Death Knight and the Priest just trolled a bit and carried. They really didn't carry, though. That's the problem. Like, they make more mistakes than anybody else in the key, which is crazy. That's a bit ridiculous. The only guy who actually carries is the Evoker. That guy does insane DPS the whole run and doesn't say a word. That's carrying. He says an oopsie happened and they didn't had enough to kill the totem. That's not even remotely what happened. Dude, that is so ridiculous that you were trying to say that's what happened. The shaman didn't accept the res and they started the cat fight. It's just another day at the office in pugs. Look at their armory, mate. They're 8 of 9 mythic, 6 of 9 mythic, 7 of 9 mythic kills. I mean, first of all, does anybody think like you're a badass for not clearing the raid on mythic? I guess raiding has gotten harder year after year, but like last time I raided, it was like middling to not finish the raid. Like, do you really think they can't roll over a 9? At no point did I say they can't do a 9. Now let's break this down one way only. I'm sorry, we won't be doing this your way. If the shaman accepted the res, they will double upgrade the key. Happy piggies in the mud. But no, an inexperienced took the decision to not follow what the big guns are doing. Being rezzed as a noob is basically an honor. You should press yes. The big guns run the math, looked at their CDs, at the meter, at boss HP, and they rezzed you for a reason. Your non-existent DPS is needed. I know this is obviously hyperbole, but if you think anybody ever does, like, this is something that's going through their minds when they battle res somebody, he says they rezzed you for a reason. Your non-existent DPS is needed. Which is it then? This is the hard truth, and we know hard truths cut both ways, Sir Davos, of high-end players. We live and die based on the tick of a dot, especially in a 9. One GCD at a time. We really know what the fuck we are doing. If the Shami decided that he's course of action, not taking the res, is a better decision than them mythic raiders, that is basically his fault. Nothing to do with why he didn't take the res, bro. As a last line, I do not and am not enforcing, nor do I practice this type of behavior. You literally admitted to it. When I join low key levels, like below 15 or so, below 15. Oh, okay, that's a really low key. Or so I babysit with the HOTS uptime around 100% because I have the mana for it all the time. I usually don't even engage with the chat in pugs, and as a druid, because my class can do it, I tried to fix what the group lacks. Good work. In this particular case, I would even have pre-hotted everyone and just bursted the totem to get the job done. It's impressive. That's a very skilled player right there. And anyway, the point of this TLDR is simple. Stop bringing morality and social norms into the game. They will apply in the same percentage as they apply in real life, aka not at all. What did you just type? Morality and social norms apply at the same percentage in real life, aka not at all. So you're saying that the social cohesiveness of people as a species in the United States, well, this guy doesn't live in the United States, clearly, wherever the hell you live, doesn't matter whatsoever. Okay, you better tell your government officials that. Maybe they'll have some things to say to you. Okay, here it gets worse though. I was a trial for Method. Oh, Method, that's a guild we know. And in the race for the first Lich King 25-man kill, was Method around in Lich King 25? Wasn't that like a different guild back then? You guys have no idea what people will do for being at the top. How much are they investing in the game and what is going on? First of all, what are you talking? Dude, these guys are not even like top players. I'm not even sure these guys are going to get the title. Like the mage maybe, but the DK like definitely not getting the title, right? Next time you see a mythic raider in your pug, just be glad that your key and or raid or whatever will get the kill or the double upgrade key. Or if you are not happy with a little bit of being trolled, then go grind 15 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, years in a row. 20 hours a week? So you're admitting that you slept 4 hours a day every single day for years in a row? You'd be dead. Yeah, it's a true story. I did it for years, hands down. Okay, well, as long as the hands are down, then they can't press Cyclone. P.S. I do not defend the DK Priest. No, you literally do. You literally defended them. I'm just giving you a fair and truly experienced perspective from the other side of the coin. The other side of what coin? This guy's like talking about shit like he hasn't played the game in like 20 years, by the way. This is like the guy talking about factions before. Anytime you bring up fucking Wrath of the Lich King as experience, you probably have not played the game in like 15 years. And it would make sense because he doesn't understand that like 7 of 9 mythic is like very middling for rating. Like that's not very good. That's not like these are the top players in the world. It's actually funny. He says, I don't act like that. Maybe in 1 to 2 keys per week. That is in 1 to 2 in hundreds of keys. I could see 20 hours a day, 7 days a week for years. Maybe he doesn't sleep. I said, God, I feel bad for you. You typed all that nonsense out just to prove you have no idea what you're talking about. Did you actually brag about having all portals? Like, how do you start the conversation with that, bro? How do you start? By the way, I'm very qualified. I have all the portals. Like, what are you talking about? Here's another PvP one. The whole PvE mythic thing makes me laugh. Players just doing the same old dungeons over and over and getting all sweaty over AI content. Why don't we see any of these mythic plus pro players in ranked arena? I said, because no one gives a fuck about arena. If you were serious about mythic plus, why would you ever waste your time with PvP? And of course, no actual response to the comment. He says, serious about doing the same content over and over again. I said, is that not how all video games work? Do you think golfers get bored playing Augusta National every April? He says, golf is against real players. PvP. Guy, are you serious? No, it's not. It's actually PvEVP. The main competition is against the course. No one can play defense or stop you from competing against the course. Anyway, I guess you have no defense against the actual comparison there, huh? Glad we agree on that. Then just stops replying to me. But other people are replying to him and he keeps going. Yeah, this guy says, wow, PvP is for people that want to play competitive PvP but can't hack it in actual competitive esports titles. Yeah, like legitimately. That's actually exactly how I feel about it, to be honest. Another great one. You know what else is toxic? Dwelling on toxicity. It is toxic to you. We all know that people can be toxic. No need to call attention to it or raise awareness. We are aware. What? We are not talking about people here. We're talking about these specific people so others can identify them and move on. All right, here's the actual last comment. Brainwashed into doing the same PvE content day in and day out. Are you guys bored yet? Brainwashed. Where are these guys coming from? This whole Keystone / DPS race thing is just cheese. This is the end game for you guys? I said, why? What game do you play? It says we PvP in SWOTOR and WoW because that's the end game. You better tell Blizzard because they don't seem to agree. When was the last time they made new content for PvP? You guys tell me. He then says, name me a famous PvE player. Name me a famous PvP player. Exactly. Well, exactly what? What do you I could name 1 on each, I could name 2 on each, 5 on each, so what are you talking about? Everything I said, like I just said to him, he says, "Dude, I have all of my buttons." Look at this, not what is he saying? "Dude, I have all of my buttons key binded. I have an MMO mouse and I have gained my muscle memory over the years. That's why PvP is easy for me. Most PvE players are clickers, and that's the reason why not many PvE players PvP. Just wait until all the clickers in classic Kata start to fail and wait for the drama in the guilds because clickers don't like to move and they don't look at what's going on." What the fuck are you talking about? The fact that both of these guys bring up Kata Classic is suspect though. Maybe it's even the same person, but maybe they're just like together or something like that. This honestly reads like a copy pasta, and I want this to become a copy pasta. "Dude, I have all my buttons key binded. I have an MMO mouse and I have gained my muscle memory over the years. That's why PvP is easy for me." End of the video. Thank you for watching. Keep on submitting me like runs if you guys run into toxicity, man. Like this is my new talking point here. I really want this to be a big part of this channel's future now. Now that I've seen this and seen some of these replies, I realize that there is a lot of people that need to be reached, and I'm happy to do my part. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys in the next one.